Hi, Sandi Maki here with a little bit of heavy breathing just before midnight. Well, you may or may not have noticed there was a brief pause in between my last post and this one. Turns out that I had a few spinning plates of my own that needed to get set down. So I did, I set them down. I took a little break. And the world didn't come to an end, and no major catastrophes happened. Sure, I may have felt like I should have been doing things when I wasn't, but really the best thing that I was doing was honoring myself in the way that I felt. What that also gave me time to do was think. It gave me time to think a little bit about what I would like to even talk about in heavy breathing just before midnight. One of the things that became pretty obvious to me was that when I took time off from my spinning plates, I missed that ability to talk with you. One of the things that is very important in my life is a concept called masterminding. And this can take on many forms. There's a lot of resources and information about it. But one of the biggest things that comes out of masterminding, or one of the greatest benefits or the reasons to do it, or one of the reasons that it just feels good, is because when I'm alone with my thoughts, they can spin around in all kinds of directions, but I'm in control of those. And when I sit down with someone and I share my crazy thoughts with them, and they share some of their crazy thoughts with me, then we not only have a lot of crazy thoughts, but we also have validation in some of those crazy ideas that maybe aren't so crazy. And that's one of the things that I get when I share some heavy breathing with you. And based on a little Facebook message that I saw this morning, I get the feeling that that's what you might get from listening to me. So that's a great thing. One of the other things that I was pondering with the heavy breathing is how to keep the episodes moving. How to make sure that I didn't feel like I was repeating myself or just lecturing, because that's not what I want it to be. I want it to be a conversation. And I think I discovered a couple new ways to do that. So sometimes setting down the spinning plates is good, because if you think back to how I explained it last time, when you have a bunch of spinning plates in a row and you just run around and spin them, you don't take time to check what their trajectory should be. And it's not always clear why you continue spinning this plate instead of putting it down. So taking a break from everything is a really good thing. It allows you to come to some new conclusions, just like I've come to some new conclusions. Masterminding, when we get together and we share our ideas with each other and maybe they're just a little crazy, turns out most of the time they're really not. One of my favorite books, actually two of my favorite books, one of my favorite authors is Ayn Rand. And she wrote two books. One is The Fountainhead, one is Atlas Shrugged. Well, she wrote more than two books, but these are the two favorites that I've got. At first glance, sitting down to read the books, they are really, really long. 1,000 pages plus each of about 8-point font in the paperback version. So it's a commitment to read the book. I read the book. Actually, I read both of the books. And as I was reading the books, a friend of mine was reading the books with me, which was great. Because as I was underlining passages and they were underlining passages, we could get together and we could talk about what the author was saying. And some of the words in that book, in each of the books, were so profound. And thoughts that maybe I've had, but maybe just hadn't put into words into quite the same way. Or maybe I hadn't had them yet, but the opportunity to explore them was great. Masterminding is like that. And we can mastermind with people that are here in person, present with us. And we can mastermind with people who lived a long time ago and wrote a book. Ayn Rand is a bit controversial, it seems, from public knowledge of her. And I don't exactly know why that is. Because when I've suggested the book to a few people, I've definitely gotten a little bit of feedback, a lot of criticism and misclassification of what her philosophies are or what comes across in the book. It doesn't seem like there's a clear picture of what is actually in the book unless you read it. That's really interesting to me too, because it seems that a lot of people without any first-hand knowledge of the subject would discount it or say it's not even a good idea just because they heard something somewhere. So first-hand knowledge is always a really good thing. An invitation stands for anyone who reads The Fountainhead or Atlas Shrugged or any other works by Ayn Rand. I would love to talk about it anytime. I'm a huge fan of her books, the way she put her words together, and the philosophies and the concepts that she paints with such clarity in her works. I don't know when Ayn was writing her books what her purpose was with the books. I don't know that she knew exactly what she was looking to do. Maybe she did. I could go back and I could research and I could read her words and I could try to figure out what it was that she was looking to do. Or I can just know that when I show up to read her words or to talk about her works, it's the perfect time because it's where I am and it's a place that I'm ready to discover. And that's the secret of masterminding as well. If you are a part of a mastermind group, keep at it. That's awesome. If you have no idea what masterminding is, I encourage you to look into it. And if you're somebody that I regularly mastermind with in person, thank you. And if you're somebody that I get the opportunity to mastermind with here through a little old podcast that I like to call Heavy Breathing Just Before Midnight, thank you. Because if you weren't here, the energy here just wouldn't be the same. And hopefully when I am pondering words that I'm putting together, and you're in the place where you are, and you're able to hear some of my words, I hope that it brings a point of clarity to you. And it could have absolutely nothing to do with what I'm talking about, and it could have everything to do with what I'm talking about. Just like for me, reading Ayn Rand's books summarized everything that I could possibly thinking about. I just didn't know that I'd thought it yet. Ponder that one. Until next time. And thanks for listening.